Hello everyone, welcome to Cellopedia. This is Maxim. Today we will continue working on Piatti Cello Method. It doesn't really matter if you studied all exercises before that or this is your first lesson to try. We will work together on very useful scale, F major scale in 2 octaves. We will also go through Arpeggio and we will test our skills with the etude number 25 by Sebastian Lee. In this etude, we will try different shifts to second, to third and fourth positions, and also we will work on bow distribution and string crossings. Stay with me and I hope you will learn something new. F major scale. Let's first play it 1 note per bow in tempo quarter note 60. We will need to check our bow hold before starting. That's very important and very often we overlook that. And you have to remind yourself about bow direction. This way when you play on lower strings you use different bow angle compared to the angle you will have to use playing on the upper strings. Okay, now you're ready. Make sure you take a deep breath and you start exhaling and you play your first note. To play 1 note per bow, I used about half of the bow. Try to pay more attention to the way you're making extension with the first finger. The best way to do it when you are playing open string. You play open A and then you make an extension. This way your first finger is prepared to play. You don't do it in a very last moment. And right after that, you have to make a shift to the third position. Remember, when you move your wrist, your thumb is sliding together. You don't leave it behind. Again, all fingers, including thumb, go together. That will ensure much higher precision. It would be very useful exercise to make just this shift several times. So you start from the note before that and make a shift and do it again. And once you figure out, okay, I have enough consistency, enough precision to make this shift, you're ready to continue. Once you feel you spent enough time playing 1 note per bow, move to the different pattern, 2 notes per bow. Here we will be using about half of the bow per each note, and this will allow you to take care of a bow distribution, making sure that you are not spending too much of the bow for the first note. Two octaves arpeggio, before we start playing it, it might be worth checking how you make a shift to the fourth position, from F to A on the D string. Let's do it right away. I like to make shifts to the fourth position because I feel that it's a very easy position to find, because in this position my wrist is extremely close to the body of the cello. So that gives me a little bit of help. When you play arpeggio, you will have to make even more string crossings. Again, make sure that you find a way to pay attention to the angle of the bow. And if you forget about this, your cello will let you know that you have to do it better, because you will hear squeaky sound, and most likely that will be the result of incorrect bow angle. And lastly, let's try to play this arpeggio 2 notes per bow. The same goal as when you played a scale. You have to use about half of the bow per note, making sure that you're not spending too much of the bow for the first note. Now we are ready to play the etude. Before we do that, I would like to let you know that I also recorded the second part of this etude, the teacher's part. So if you don't have a teacher to play with, you could use my recording to play with. And this recording in slow and fast tempo is available for Patreon supporters. Link below. Okay, now let's play the etude number 25 by Sebastian Lee. We will first go through that in slow tempo without metronome, and I will be stopping every time I think something deserves your attention. The first 4 measures, make sure that you play the half note with as much bow as you can. This way you will have enough bow for the following 4 eighth notes. It will also help to save some bow for the last eighth note of the first measure, because this is where you are going to make a shift. So there is nothing worse to make a shift when you have barely any bow left and you becoming more tense because of that. Tension in the right hand will affect your left hand. Usually we cannot have one hand relaxed and another with some tension. So it's very important to pay attention what's going on in the right hand, saving enough bow for difficult shifts. This way your right hand will be safe and relaxed, and the left hand will be able to slide to the spot without much of the effort. here you have half note rest. It's good to make a very smooth retake, and while doing it you breathe, and again you try to exhale while playing the next note. Exhaling lowers your shoulders, and that helps you to start the next note with much better sound. In this measure, there's another example when you can take advantage of the open string to make a shift. Right after you play in the second position, you have open D, and this is when you make a shift to G. You have to lift all fingers, you cannot slide on the string, but you have plenty of time to do that. Here you have to make a string crossing from D to C string. You actually might want to consider stopping the bow a little bit, as if you have 16th note of rest. That will help you to clearly move a bow from one string to another, and that might also help for phrasing. That would be the spot you would take a deep breath. Here we have a shift from the third to the first position, and you will have to use the fourth finger for both notes. Again, make sure that you slide on the string and keep at least 2, if not 3 fingers on the string. If you lift all other fingers, it might be too tricky for a pinky to do the job. So other fingers will actually help pinky to make a good shift. When you play this etude, it might be a good idea to play most of the notes with vibrato. At least half notes and quarter notes. You don't have to use a lot of it, but just a little bit to make your sound live will help you. And it could also be an extra exercise to improve your technique. If you need to go more in depth how to work on vibrato, please check out my Udemy courses. Working on vibrato is a part of beginner's course, but other courses also have a lot of useful information. And again, there's a link in the description with a special discount for Cellopedia audience. Let's continue with the next measure. have a quarter note rest, but it's not just to have rest. It's actually to make a shift while making a retake. This way, both left and right hands are busy when you have this quarter note rest. In this measure, let's pay more attention to rhythm. You have a quarter note followed by dotted quarter note. And sometimes we forget to count, to subdivide, and this rhythm goes out of proportion. So make sure you subdivide by eighth notes even when you play without a metronome. In this measure, you will have to play a few notes on the G string. Don't be discouraged if those notes don't sound as clear as other notes on other strings, because the G string in this position usually has some problems. A lot of cellos have wolf tones, and if your cello has it, it's not your fault that E or E flat or sometimes F are not responding with clarity. However, you can improve sound quality by observing which position of the bow works the best. And it's not only the angle, but also position closer to the bridge, which might help you to find better sound. So make sure that you try slightly different angles and try to decrease the distance between the bow and the bridge. Or if it sounds too scratchy, sul ponticello, then don't go that close to the bridge. And in the last two measures, we have long notes, and between two half notes Fs, you have to make a shift and string crossing. Naturally, you want to stop the bow to make it clear. And the same will happen when you switch from the D string to the C string. It might be quite obvious that you need a bit of extra time to make those shifts or string crossings. But I heard many students who didn't consider that, who wouldn't give yourself a little bit of time to do that. And instead of clarity, they got messy sound and a lot of extra noise, which wouldn't help to play this very smooth and melodic etude. I think now it's a good time to play this etude through in slow tempo quarter note 48. You might listen how I play it, stop the recording, play on your own, and then continue. Or when you're ready, you can actually try to play along with my recording. And now it is time to have even more fun playing in faster tempo quarter note 80. It might be more challenging to make shifts, but you will not have to save bow that much, and it will be much easier to connect notes. As always, thank you for watching. I hope you got a chance to review something you already know or maybe learn something new. At any rate, I will record more videos for Cellopedia. See you soon.